What's up, Rube? It's Little Big Robots back doing a video, finally back to kind of reviewing. I'm still figuring out my, recording area here, how I'm going to do reviews in front of a window, so I'm kind of figuring out the shades or too much sunlight, not enough. These glossy packages are not going to help. If you like little versions of big robots, mecha stuff, art toys, stuff like monster toys and stuff like that, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 6,000 or so, or 20,000 or whatever I want by the end of the year of 24. Today I'm going to be looking at, this is something I've always collected, which is really, really cool. This is kind of a slow line, what I call a slow line, which means that they don't put out a lot of this stuff. In fact, I thought the line was pretty much done. And then these guys came out, I want to say this one, Iron Warrior, was exclusive to Target, but normally it will say that on the package somewhere, I believe. But I thought you could only get these on Target.com and in the stores. I put it off. I was like, put it off. I'll just get them later because I was in the middle of moving. I've been moving for about a month or whatever. And then I saw these two at Target, went ahead and grabbed them. This one, because I put it off, I had to actually pay twice as much from a stupid scalper. But it is a special kind of one. We'll look at that one last. What I'm going to do now is just look at this Reiver Sergeant first. I'm not big on the, I read a lot of little books because they're kind of like pulp novels. It's like reading, some pulp novel from 1932 or something like that. They're pretty fluffy, silly stuff. Warhammer is a very silly universe and a very silly IP. So they're, if you ever want to just kill time in an airport or something like that, you can read one of their books or whatever. But they're fun. It's a fun IP. So I don't know. I think the Reiver Sergeant is these are all new Primaris Marines. I think it's going to probably tell you somewhere. Primaris Marines are basically Space Marines that are like Space Marines 2.0. And let me get this out of the package first, then I'll have it. Actually, I paused here to this happened last time. McFarlane before had these guys in a bubble wrap like this, and then you'd also have, like, that's just loose there. That's fantastic. You'd also have tons of these little tie down things. I hate those things, the little plastic tie downs for everything else. So you had to cut and remove and and now it's just loose. That not only saves that annoying plastic that is hard to recycle, but you see how he's loose? It's so much easier to, and as a reviewer person, as somebody who reviews these things, it's great because you're not making 12 tons of noise like that. You don't have to make all that noise on your review. You can just kind of pop them out. So that's very nice. Thank you for that, McFarlane. You have the comically small stand that, look, it doesn't even cover both feet if they're standing like that. But as soon as you do anything run, these stands are just ridiculous. You know what? Make a stand this size, at least. Make some a little bit. Just spend a little bit more money on plastic. These things, I literally throw them in a box, and we'll probably all get recycled. Other than the little thing there. I don't know what the Reiver is. Let me see if it says on the card. Reiver Sergeant pledges. Ferocious red thirst and black rage psychosis. Basically, when they go crazy mode, they excel in rapid strikes. The Reivers take it to the next level, launching brutal assaults with sudden fury and shocking violence. They're little terror troops. Okay, so they're basically like, they jump in. Here's their little. This is not a jump pack. I believe this is just a regular power pack. The jump packs will have the little wings on them, but I think these can still jump. I can't remember the lore, but they use this little grappling hook, I guess. Let's see if I can get a little light in here. See, I don't get light, and then it's going to be sunbeamy. No, too much. I got to figure out my situation here. But use a little grappling hook instead. He's a pretty standard-looking Marine. Nothing crazy going on here. Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, I just noticed he had this, oversized knife even for him. But that's cool. Each one you do get some unique details and stuff like that. They're basically built around the same Marine. If you've seen these before, they're not super posable and stuff. I wish they would change some of the hands. You can pop them out. You can take these guys completely apart. Just use some really hot water. Be careful though, of course. and you can pop them apart. There's a Facebook group I'm a member of where all they do is customs of these guys, and it's really, really fun. Like, these can even be hard to get in sometimes, the backpacks, unless you heat them up. The face is nice, but not a lot of no washing at all, really, that I can see. The paint's pretty good, but you put a wash in that, and all these details pop out. McFarlane is one of those that does that weird, a few little hand touches here and there. You'll see some dry brushing, but none on the things like that, for example, and then none on other parts. So sometimes their figures do not feel very cohesive. Like the gun has no wash in it at all, just has a silver flat paint. So a lot of these, as soon as you add a wash to these guys, it really, really makes a difference. So Reiver Sergeant, I'm glad to have him because this is one of the few, probably 6 or 7 lines I collect actively, meaning that, or I try to complete. So I'm trying to actually get them all. I think of my Warhammer line, all I lack is the platinum version of a battle sister. So I'll probably end up getting her somewhere. And I don't buy the artist's versions, you know, the flat ones. I don't really care about those. He's got his nice little bolt pistol or whatever that is. But you know, looks cool. It's just hard to review these because we reviewed so many. If you've seen these before, it's a pretty typical thing. The reason I like the McFarlane Warhammer line so much, though, is they're just a silly, bulky action figure. Give this to your 10-year-old and they're going to smash them together, have a great time. Not only that, but these go on sale all the time. You can find for $5, $10, $15, you know. So I just like this line a lot. I'm kind of going to go through this quickly until we get to the main. This is an interesting. Let me pause here and grab something. Well, I say that, and then I realized I don't know where it's at. My office is still in such a disarray. So anyway, but this Ymgarl Genestealer, I like this new box design, by the way, from McFarlane. It looks more like a, if you have a shelf of these, it looks more like a shelf of Warhammer 40k codices and books, or whatever you call them, rule books. But this, I believe they put out before, but it was the unpainted. It was just the artist model, and they never put out a painted version, I guess you'd call it. So I don't think this is necessarily a new model or anything, or a new toy. This is just a painted version. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments there, but I already have this guy in the flat gray version. This is so much nicer, by the way. Look at this. I can just, well, give me a second here. Let me see if I can, there you go. I can just pop that off, and I don't have to worry about cutting apart everything. So this is kind of a special Genestealer in a way. Let me grab my little things here. I'm going to get this stuff out. It's just put in there nice and easy. I love that. I don't have to sit there, other than the stand, this useless stand. I don't really have to pop anything out. Ymgarl Genestealer. Genestealers are armed with okay, so these guys are just a special Genestealer. Doesn't look 100 times different than the other ones. When you get the Genestealers, you'll have one side will have its arms removed so that it can go into the package. I don't know why they do that and just not find a way to put them in the package otherwise, but it's cool because it looks like you're getting extra arms or something in the toy, and you don't. It's a pretty basic model as far as, you know, compared to the other Genestealers. It's the same kind of thing. The tail kind of goes under like that, which is fine, but I wish it was posable in some way because it always looks like he's a dog with his tail between his legs. So he looks a little skittish. You know, the paint again is fine. Let me get a little more light here if I can. Paint's fine. It's nothing to write home about. You'll see what I mean. They're doing a little dry brushing, a little washing, but nothing crazy. You'll see some details like a little wash in the musculature looking area, but then this purple is completely flat. So I would have, you know, put a little dry brush on that. Of course, every little time an action figure is hand painted, that raises the cost. So, and McFarlane does do a good job about usually keeping their costs, you know, $25. This is the equivalent of one Marvel Legends figure. I use Marvel Legends figures as a kind of a monetary, like a scale. So like, you know, this is two Marvel Legends figures, you know, that to give people an idea of cost. This is one Marvel Legends, and you can see how much plastic you get. These, I guess, will end up going on the hands. You probably, yeah, there you can swap them out. Oh, wrong way, wrong one. So it's like he's holding a dagger instead. That's kind of cool looking. weird that he holds just like a dagger instead of his, is it formed around his hand or something? Yeah, okay, it's part of his hand, so that's kind of interesting. Genestealers have never been my favorite villain in the Warhammer universe at all. They're not super scary. I also don't like that, you know, it's been copied from Alien and all that stuff. For everybody just kind of goes back to that. The insectoid chitin on the back and all, you know, it's just kind of been done a billion times. But it is fun. I like the cult stuff where they start to take over a world. Cults form. Because of the hive puts off like a mental fear or something. Anyway, it's a long blah, 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 hive mind, blah, blah, blah stuff. The Borg, all that. Really cool, but again, you can see how this looks good, but the tentacles have no wash or highlight on them, so it just looks like a red blotch. You know, so the painting is hit or miss always on a McFarlane figure, which is kind of par for the course. I don't mind that because of the price, and they're just still a fun. Again, imagine you're 10 years old and you have this. You'd be like, ah! I might be a little dangerous for a 10-year-old, but you know what I'm saying? So not bad, not bad. This is the one that I was really interested in checking out. And I ended up, because I waited, ended up having to pay a scalper twice as much for it. Again, that's my bad. It was $30. I think I ended up paying $50, so not twice as much. And I don't normally do that, but I knew this was going to just sit there. And the special edition ones, the gold ones, the gold label ones usually don't go down in price. And I have 2 or 3 of them now. So this is the Iron Warrior. Iron Warrior is, the Iron Warriors are a one of the Space Marine chapters. They were, if I remember correctly, whenever the big, what is that making that noise? Such a weird noise. Of course, here, see, they were one of the traitor chapters, meaning that they basically rebelled against the quote-unquote good guys. And now that they have been in the warp and been all Satan worshippers or whatever, let's throw away that useless stand, they look all goopy and stuff. So, you know, as they spend time in the warp, they get all kind of crazy looking. Again, Chaos is not, I just don't find Chaos Warriors, Chaos Space Marines scary at all. It is Warhammer is kind of a silly pulp IP, so none of it's really supposed to be really actually scary, but they could make these guys actually scary, but they're always kind of just goofy to me, but in a fun way. They're really fun. This one's a little cost a little bit more, I believe, because it had a special paint job. You can see there it has the little bit of a wash there, some wash here, so they've actually applied. And if you don't know what a wash is just a really thinned paint, like watery, and you apply it on the thing, it sinks into the details, for example, on that metal part, and you can either wipe it away or just let it dry. A lot of people don't like to let it dry because you get these little kind of bubbles, not bubbles, but little areas that look like you just let a, you know, liquid dry on there. But that's kind of how it would happen in real life in a lot of ways. Liquid would splash on you. You're not going to wipe it away if you're an evil chaos monster. He looks good. Iron Warriors were a... Their Primarch was really cool. Their boss guy was really cool. This is, again, you can see it's basically the same. Is he much taller? Oh, did they make him much taller because he's a Primaris and he's a firstborn Marine? Meaning, let me see. Let me grab one here. So I'm going to grab... This is a Primaris, standard Primaris. So he should be the same height as this guy, right? Basically. He's pretty much the same height. So these should have the same... molds and stuff, just a few tweaks. I mean, that's fine. They, you know, obviously the molds aren't exactly the same. You know, you have the kneecaps and stuff like that, but you can see it's basically the same character. But that's cool. He does look a little, let's see here. He looks a little shorter if that's their, I mean, because a Primaris is going to be a little bit larger than what they call a firstborn or a Marine, who was around since the beginning. Like he was one, you know, came from the original Gene C, blah, 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 lore stuff. And the Primaris are a little bit larger. So their models in the game are a little bit larger in the tabletop game. So that's cool if they made him a little bit larger. That would be really cool because this guy's so ancient here. The posability of all these guys is never something to write home about. But again, I always say this. I don't overvalue posability, or I should say, articulation in a lot of these things, because what you're buying here is you're really buying a slightly posable piece of art. That's how I look at toys. These are little art pieces. I also like for toys to be playable, of course, meaning that if a kid wanted to, they could play and you know, have war and stuff and have them fighting and but remember when we were kids, if you're my age, I'm, you know, 80s kid, you didn't go, you know, perfect pose, you would just go you know, knock them together. So they don't need to be super crazy. You can put these guys in fun poses and stuff, but they just don't. It's really kind of finicky. Like I said, the customizable, the custom group who does McFarlane Custom Warriors or Warhammer 40k warrior figs, this particular line, they really take them apart and get them all to look really, really cool. His weapons, I think we've seen this bolter before. This is like a chaos bolter. Has a nice little touch, a little pockmarked, you know, blade there. We've got his, again, this will kind of give you an idea. This is a cool looking backpack, right? It's the very heavy metal, but then the skulls have no wash on them, and so there's just a flat bronze. So this, you know, kind of sucks. Plasma pistol, I think. Looks kind of, I've never seen that one before. It's a cool design. He's got a mace, probably some kind of power mace thing, just to be metal. And a big blade, which I don't know if the blade has a holster, or is that what you call it, a holster? What is that called? Sheath. I don't know if that goes there, maybe. There you go. That's kind of cool. So nothing spectacular. Again, he's got a grenade and stuff. Is this special paint special enough to make it $5 more, or however much it was at retail? Sure, I don't mind that. But my thing is, why not just do the special paint on all of them, make them all look a little better, and charge 35 or 40 each, because the collectors of this are going to mostly be adults anyway, and so they can afford a little bit more. Instead of 25, make it a little bit more, and put a little bit extra into all of them, make them look a little bit nicer, more collectible, because most people who are buying these are not taking them home and playing war and bashing them together. They're setting them on their shelf. So speaking of which, let's take a look at my shelf, and I want to see if I even have room for these real quick. So I'm switched to my regular phone mic here, so it's going to sound a little bit different. But you can see I've got room for probably 2 or 3 more in here. This is their weapons. Oh my God. I just literally got them thrown in here. I've got to arrange them better. I even have my original 40k epic scale. This is from the very first Space Marine and Adeptus Titanicus set. I got in 87 when I was a kid, so I still have all that, so I set that there for now. But you can see I got a little room. I got to get some lights going and stuff like that. These guys would be cool. There you go, screw it. These guys would be cool in like a good battle scene, you know. There's another chaos. This is basically all bad guys, and they'll be good guys, and it'll be a lot of fun. I have a couple more of the gold labels back there. Like I said, minus the artist proofs, which are like this. Take this one here. Here is a artist proof, which is just a flat gray, so you can paint it yourself. Minus those, I don't collect those. I'll buy them occasionally if they're cheap. Excuse me, but minus those, I have pretty much a full collection now, other than the Platinum Space Marine. I mean, the Platinum Sister of Battle. So I need to get her. She's probably about 50 online. I have extras, so I don't mind taking these out of the box. These are not a valuable line in that way. They're a play line. I love them. I love the fact that they're so chunky. You can take them like this and literally do like that, and it's not gonna. You're not gonna hurt anything. Like they're. That's so cool. You know what I mean? It's just that's what I want in a toy line. Is something that can take a little bit of a beating. Not always, but usually. That back there is just an extra Halo mech I just threw in there, so I might take him out, I'm sure. Anyway, there you go. I hope you guys and gals and others enjoy them, and have a good weekend. Bye-bye.